Hey everybody. So today is December 14th, and tomorrow, December 15th, is the 1 year anniversary of me getting dentures. So I wanted to talk about how life has kind of changed over this past year. Um, for starters, when I first started thinking that I needed dentures, of course, as I've mentioned before, it was devastating. It was something that I really didn't want to accept. It was my worst nightmare. It was something that it was like a fear that I always had in the back of my head, like, as the worst possible case scenario. Like, it was just unimaginable to me. So, as I started getting more and more frustrated with my own teeth and realizing, I can't go on this way forever, and I was smart enough to not have to even be told by a dentist that they couldn't be saved. I knew they couldn't because I had lost function of them completely. Like, it literally got to the point that I could not chew my food with them at all. I would cut my food into small pieces, and like, for stuff that I would normally have to chew, I would either swallow it whole or try my best to mash it with my tongue. And that's pretty bad. And I was in constant pain. The pain was at times unbearable because I got frequent abscesses. But aside from that, every day of my life I lived in pain. From throbbing gums. I mean, they just constantly throbbed, so I just didn't know. I had forgotten what it felt like to live with a normal mouth, and, you know, most of the time I was used to it, but then there was those moments that I became aware that this is just totally abnormal, and it's like one of those things that, once you think about it, it drives you crazy. And I couldn't do it anymore. So that's when, I didn't like the idea of dentures at all. I just wanted to end the pain. I wanted to make the situation just completely go away. And at that point, I was just kind of indifferent about it. Like, I didn't care. I didn't necessarily not care. I just was so fed up with my teeth that I had to do something. So when I decided that I was going to get the dentures, I only did so under the assumption that within 6 months I would be getting implants. Otherwise, I don't think I would have done it at that time. Because, even though I was, indifferent about losing my teeth, or about getting dentures, I still wasn't comfortable about not having something anchored in, something secure. The thought of dentures, I had a lot of misconceptions about them, just like anybody else would. I kept thinking about my grandma's dentures, and I honestly, I can't remember, but I think that I believed at that point that like dentures could be mass produced or something. Like, I had no idea what was involved in any of this. I think that between the time I started researching dentures as even being a possibility and the time that I had my first consultation with the dentist, I think that was only like between 2 and 3 weeks. So I was totally new to this, and I did not, besides my grandma, I didn't know anybody personally that wore dentures, so this was just all new to me, and I kind of felt like I was alone in it. So, anyways, needless to say, I didn't like the idea of having teeth, that could possibly come out of my mouth, and I had a lot of the same fears that all of you have. Worrying about if they're going to pop out of my mouth, worrying if they're going to affect my relationship with my husband, worrying about, what people would think of a 26-year-old woman who wears dentures, and then just knowing that underneath them there's nothing there. It was just a lot to take in, and I wasn't ready for that yet. So I told myself that I was going to get the dentures, but in 6 months I would be getting implants. Well, I got my dentures, and I had hyped myself up about the operation, like, not operation, but getting them extracted or whatever. And I was in panic mode because I have really bad anxiety. And so I was so relieved to see that like, I really blew that situation out of proportion. It was nowhere near as bad as I thought it would be. So that was a huge relief. But, if you look back at my pictures in my video about my appearance after getting dentures, I swelled up much more than I expected to. And it was really bad for the first 3 days. And then it took about a week before the swelling, like, started to look like it was really subsiding and everything. So that was awkward. And once the swelling went down, besides the fact that I couldn't chew, that wasn't a big deal to me because I couldn't chew before I got the dentures. But I didn't like the way that they looked. And I just couldn't imagine, like, in my mind, okay, the swelling has gone down. What's the deal? I looked like a gorilla or something. I mean, it was crazy. I hated the way I looked. But at the same time, and I thought that could not be corrected. But at the same time, the way I felt when I would look at myself in the mirror, which I did very, very frequently, was I felt like I was finally seeing what I couldn't see before. Because before, I would look in the mirror and I would try to picture what I would look like if I looked normal. Because to me, I wasn't normal. I was abnormal. And people who had nice teeth were normal. So I used to try to picture what I would look like, and I just couldn't. And I'm a pretty creative girl. I mean, I can perceive a lot of things, but that, for some reason, was just so far-fetched, I couldn't imagine it. So I would sit in the mirror and just, regardless of how silly I thought I looked, it was just a relief to see teeth there. Not to see that mess that I had before. Because, like, I don't know what kind of self-talk you guys go through, but, like, for me, when I would look in the mirror, if I was not focusing really hard on doing my makeup or curling my hair or, whatever it is to take my mind off of it, then I would kind of hang around in the mirror a little bit too long and think, you look like a witch. That's what I thought. And I'd talk down to myself. I'd have all kinds of negative thoughts going through my head about my appearance and what other people must think about me. And I'd cry a lot. So even though I looked ridiculous, like an animal, I felt a sense of normalcy. And it felt really good. So 2 weeks after I got my extractions, when I got my first reline, like, I didn't even think about implants. When the dentist showed me what I looked like in the mirror, and, like, I can still even remember it clearly, how I looked, looking at myself in the mirror, it was just, like, I was just happy. I was so happy, but at the same time, I thought, wow, why didn't I do this sooner? What would 22-year-old Christy have looked like if she could have, had teeth like this? So I just sat there and I thought back on all the times that I could have had this but didn't, because for a long time my teeth were so bad that they couldn't be saved. This wasn't anything new. It just got to the point where I literally couldn't take it anymore. But they've been really bad for some time. So I was happy, and the thing that changed the most up front is that I wanted to be around people. Something that I avoided for so long, I actually looked forward to it. I used to lock myself up in the house and ask my husband to go to the grocery store to go shopping just because I was having a bad day and was aware of my teeth. I came back down to reality and thought, you look screwed up. And I'd stay inside. So after that, I wanted to go everywhere. I wanted to talk to everybody. I wanted to talk face to face, and it was just a new experience for me. Because seriously, in my adult life, I haven't done that. Up until last year, or, really, my 2-week reline or whatever. Yeah, it was last year. It was like around like right before, I think it was a few days before New Year's. Like up until that point, I had not lived a normal life like normal adults live, and I feel like I really got cheated out of that part of my life. So I just wanted to go everywhere. And the first thing I really enjoyed with my new teeth was on New Year's Eve, my husband and my best friend and her boyfriend and my sister, we all went downtown and went partying. And there was a club that had one of those mechanical bulls. Some of my older subscribers will remember that video I posted before this was a Denture channel, but one of the first things I did was I rode a mechanical bull. And to everybody else, that sounds stupid. That sounds like something that, I shouldn't even be talking about. But for me, it was a really big deal because it was something so simple that I always wanted to do. Because every time I'd see somebody riding one, it looked like they were having fun. And it was just like, is a perfect example of how, a minor thing, like, I would avoid it and I couldn't do it. Like, it wasn't just like mechanical bulls. It was like, roller coaster rides at the fair, or dancing in a nightclub, or just sitting in the middle of a circle of friends and laughing out loud, telling jokes and stuff. Like, those things I couldn't do. And if I did, I looked really awkward because I was always trying to hide my mouth. So I could never fully enjoy those experiences. So that was like the first thing that I wanted to do, and I did it. I got up there in front of a nightclub full of people on New Year's Eve. Everybody staring at me, spotlight on me, and I did it, and it was so awesome. So over this whole year, I did run into some spots where, I'd get a few sore spots and stuff like that, or my gums are shrinking and the teeth don't fit as good as they once did, which, by the way, yes, I have to reschedule my dentist appointment again because I've been really busy. But anyways, but those are just really minor things. Like, even my last video, of course, sometimes you get really frustrated and kind of get down about things, but in all actuality, comparing what I'm working with right now to what I had before this, like, this is a miracle for me. So I don't regret it one bit. And you would have never been able to tell me a year ago how much my life could possibly even improve. Like, I thought that it was impossible. The psychological trauma I experienced, like, I was a mental case. I was so negative all the time. And, the negative self-talk and stuff like that, I had no confidence. And I told myself, and I rationalized with myself before I had it done. I was like, you know what, Christy? You're going to get this done, but you're not going to expect immediate results because, it took years to get you in the state that you're in right now, and it's probably going to take years to undo the damage. But really, it wasn't like that at all. All I needed, all I wanted was to be able to smile. And when I got that, all of those problems started going away. Seriously, for me. I'm not saying it's like that for everybody, but for me, this was the miracle, to be able to smile. And it took everything away. All of those years of bad stuff just gone. So where I'm at today, yes, they're loose. Yes, they need to be relined again and whatever. And yes, I'm, due for my permanent set or whatever. But, like, right now, I'm good. Like, I'm good. Really good. I don't even have... There's a little bit of adhesive left on top. I actually need to go when I'm finished doing this video and take them out and clean them and soak them and stuff like that. But, like, I'm talking fine. My bottoms are not glued in at all. They feel fine. I mean, even though they're loose, they don't hurt right now. So I'm doing good, and psychologically, I'm awesome. Seriously. And to this day, I've never gotten a negative comment. Nobody's ever cracked a joke. It has been a year, and I've not run into anybody who feels sorry for me or, makes little remarks that would tick me off. None of that. Everybody, to the contrary, is happy for me that I've did something for myself to improve my health and improve my appearance. So that's my 15-minute story about what happened in the last year.